Yeah, it's cooked, guys. It's cooked. The WNBA is officially cooked, man. Sophie Cunningham will probably be going to Project B as well. I can already see the writing on the wall, and these WNBA players.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because we're about to dive into the biggest story in women's basketball right now. And trust me, this one's about to shake the entire WNBA to its core. Sophie Cunningham just said something in an interview that has WNBA executives absolutely panicking right now. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this could trigger a complete league meltdown. We're talking about multi-million-dollar deals, behind-the-scenes chaos, and a rival league that's about to steal the WNBA's biggest stars. The question isn't if players are leaving anymore, it's when, and the dominoes are about to fall fast. So let's break down exactly what Sophie revealed, why the WNBA is scrambling, and how this could all blow up before the 2026 season even starts. Let's get into it.
Annie Costabel had an interview with one Sophie Cunningham, and she asked her about Project B and some things about the Indiana Fever and things of that nature. And it's very interesting and very telling, some of the things that Caitlin Clark had to say. I said Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham had to say. And
all right, so here's what just happened. Sophie Cunningham sat down for an interview with Annie Costabel, and when asked about Project B, this new rival women's basketball league, she didn't hold back. And the quote that's sending shockwaves through the WNBA? If people are going to be paying you multi-million-dollar deals, why would you not? Let that sink in for a second. Why would you not? That's not just a casual comment. That's Sophie Cunningham, a key player on the Indiana Fever, the team that just had the most watched WNBA season in history, because of Caitlin Clark, basically saying she's open to leaving the league if the money's right. But here's what makes this absolutely explosive.
Sophie Cunningham made it clear that when it comes to CBA negotiations, things are not progressing at a pace that seems particularly helpful or even appropriate. She noted that her understanding is the last time the WNBA leaders and the WNBPA met was 2 weeks ago, and said, I know our execs are talking with their people every single day. I don't think there's been much movement. I think at least there's communication. So that's the biggest thing for us. But normally we don't have meetings unless something big is happening or if they need to update us on what they're talking about.
This isn't just about one player chasing a bigger paycheck. This is about what's happening behind closed doors. Right now, the WNBA is in the middle of CBA negotiations, collective bargaining agreement talks, and they're not just negotiating about money. They're trying to force something way more controversial. Exclusivity clauses that would ban players from joining Project B entirely. Think about that. They want players to turn down 7- and 8-figure deals just to stay in the WNBA. And Sophie just made it crystal clear where she stands on that. But it gets worse. Way worse. Sophie also revealed something that completely exposes how chaotic things are right now.
Sophie Cunningham doesn't see a problem with Project B. Cunningham also spoke about Project B in the latest professional women's basketball league that's been announced. Not too many details are available yet about the league, but it was hashed out by a group of investors who initially hoped to create a rival to the NBA. When that didn't work, they turned their attention to the W and women's basketball. For Cunningham, the appeal of the new league is financial. We know Sophie's about the bag. She want her bread. Project B is reportedly offering some players $2 to $3 million salaries to participate in the league from November to April. That's not a short season, though. She said, I don't know much about it. You know, you see stuff on social media, but I know how social media goes. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, if people are going to be paying you multi-million-dollar deals, why would you not?
She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the last time WNBA leadership met with the Players Association was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Project B is out here making multi-million-dollar offers daily, and the WNBA moving at a snail's pace. Sophie said, "I don't think there's been much movement. At least there's communication, but normally we don't have meetings unless something big is happening." Translation? We're getting nowhere fast. And here's the psychological warfare that's happening right now. Every day the WNBA delays, Project B looks more attractive. Every week without a deal, more players start questioning their loyalty. Sophie's not the only one feeling this way. Players across the league are watching these negotiations drag on while Project B is literally writing checks. Right now. You know what that tells me? The WNBA thought they had leverage. They thought players would sacrifice for the greater good of the league. They were wrong. Now let's talk about what Project B is actually offering, because this is where it gets insane.
Blame her. Listen, I've been very clear. If Project B called KTV on the way to Project B. It is what it is. It is what it is. And she's been very clear about where she stands in all of this, and that she's trying to get paid. It's the business. My whole thing is there are some social warriors and advocate warriors who going to Project B has been a complete contradiction of all the things they've been trying to push for in WNBA and all this other stuff. I wish they would have just said, hey, man, we just want to get paid more, and they could stop all of this other foolishness that they've been doing, and just say, hey, it's strictly about the bread. We could respect and understand if it's strictly about the bread, but once y'all all try to be like this activist league and all this other stuff.
$2 to $3 million per player. November to April season. Do you understand how massive that is? Most WNBA players are making 6 figures, maybe low 7 figures if they're superstars. Sophie Cunningham wants to buy a house. She's been open about this. She's not trying to be greedy or disloyal. She's trying to secure her financial future while her market value is at its peak, and the WNBA is asking her to turn down generational wealth to preserve their exclusivity? Come on. We all know how this ends. But here's the kicker.
Sophie Cunningham addressed her future with the Fever. Cunningham also admitted that there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the WNBA's 2026 season, which makes it more difficult to know if she can plan to be on the Indiana Fever next year. Like most of the league, Cunningham will be a free agent, and her spot on the team is not guaranteed. There's a lot of uncertainty, like you said, with the CBA, with the money, if we're even going to have a league next year. And then people want to come back. We're trying to keep our core together. The Fever battled through several season-ending injuries, including Cunningham's own. Yeah, this was a season from hell for the Indiana in terms of injuries, man. And put in a strong performance during the WNBA playoffs this season.
Project B's season runs November to April, which directly conflicts with the WNBA's May to September schedule. This isn't a complementary league like Unrivaled. This is direct competition. The WNBA can't have both. Either they let players participate in Project B and lose control of their own schedule, or they demand exclusivity and watch their stars walk away for bigger paychecks. There's no middle ground here. And Sophie just confirmed she's choosing the money. Now, here's the part that's been driving people crazy on social media.
You need to bring back Caitlin Clark. Obviously, the GOAT, it's her team. You re-sign Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall. That's our core 4, period. That's the core 4, the original core 4 from Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Caitlin, Kelsey, Lexi, Aaliyah. Then after that, you bring back Sophie Cunningham and you bring back Michaela Timpson, and we go from there. I'm open to Ari McDonald coming off the bench. She does not have to. She doesn't have to be here, but I'm open to her coming off the bench. I'm open to a Chloe Bibby return. Those are some things I'm open to, but they don't have to happen. They don't have to be here.
For years, WNBA players have positioned themselves as this activist league. fighting for equality, fair pay, worker rights, and honestly, that fight is legitimate. Players deserve better, but now Project B shows up with actual money. Not promises, not future revenue sharing, but real contracts. And suddenly, all that activism takes a back seat. Sophie basically said the quiet part out loud. It's strictly about the bread. And you know what? I respect that honesty. Players deserve to maximize their earnings. But let's stop pretending this was ever about anything other than getting paid. Because the second a better offer appears, everyone's jumping ship. What I find fascinating is the contradiction here. If you've been advocating for player empowerment and fair pay, then taking the Project B money is actually consistent with that message. You're empowering yourself by choosing the best deal. But some people see it as abandoning the league that gave you a platform. It's complicated, and Sophie's honesty cuts through all the noise. But here's where this gets really personal for Indiana Fever fans.
We know Sophie's about the bag. She want her bread. Project B is reportedly offering some players $2 to $3 million salaries to participate in the league from November to April. That's not a short season, though. She said, I don't know much about it. You know, you see stuff on social media, but I know how social media goes, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, if people are going to be paying you multi-million dollars deals, why would you not?
Sophie was asked about her future with the team, and she said something that should terrify everyone. There's a lot of uncertainty if we're even going to have a league next year. Let that sink in. Sophie Cunningham, a key player on the most popular team in WNBA history, isn't even sure the league will exist next season. And when she talks about the Fever's core, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and herself, every single one of those players is either a free agent or will be soon. Every single one. And they're all getting calls from Project B right now. They're all doing the same math Sophie's doing. You know what's crazy? The WNBA just had their most successful season ever. Caitlin Clark brought millions of new fans. Ratings exploded. Attendance shattered records. This should be the moment when the league capitalizes on that momentum and locks down their stars with competitive deals. Instead, they're fumbling the bag so badly that players are openly discussing whether the league will even exist next year. The incompetence is staggering. So here's the bottom line, and why this matters so much.
If you dig what I'm saying. So, with all this said, man, Sophie Cunningham looks like she will be going to Project B if they come calling. She's not turning a multi-million-dollar deal down for nothing. Even if it means she can't play in the WNBA, she's gonna go get the bag. And respectfully, I understand. I'm not gonna sit here and make it seem like, oh, they shouldn't be going up. Listen, man. Everybody could say you shouldn't go until you got multi-million-dollar offers in your face. And if they want to go get their bread, I'm not going to knock them for going to get their bread. I would love to see Sophie Cunningham back with this Indiana Fever team, though. So get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. This Keep the Vision.
Sophie Cunningham just confirmed what we've all been thinking. The WNBA is in serious trouble. Project B isn't just competition. It's an existential threat. And unless the league figures out how to compete financially, and fast, we're looking at a full-blown player exodus. If Sophie leaves for Project B, you better believe Kelsey Mitchell is watching, Aaliyah Boston is watching, and yes, even Caitlin Clark is watching. Because if the Fever core gets dismantled, where does that leave the player who just carried the entire league on her back? Does Caitlin stay in a WNBA that's falling apart? Or does she eventually follow the money too? And if Caitlin Clark leaves for Project B, the WNBA doesn't just lose a star, they lose their entire future. That's the nightmare scenario executives are waking up to every single day right now. The question isn't whether Sophie's leaving anymore. The question is, who follows her, and can the WNBA survive what comes next? All right, guys, that's where we're at. Absolute chaos in the WNBA right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the league makes it to 2026? Will Sophie jump to Project B? And what should the WNBA do right now to stop the bleeding? If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Because trust me, this story is just getting started. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.